British officials have issued a serious warning about rising tensions with Russia. But what does it actually mean, and should the public be worried? In recent days, concerns over security in Europe have once again entered public discussion, after British officials issued strong warnings about rising tensions with Russia. Headlines suggesting the possibility of conflict have sparked fear, confusion, and intense debate, particularly around the role of Russian President Vladimir Putin and the future of UK-Russia relations. However, it is important to be clear from the start. No official declaration of war exists, and no confirmed evidence suggests that Russia is preparing an immediate attack on the United Kingdom. What we are seeing instead is a mix of strategic warnings, intelligence assessments, and diplomatic signaling, all common during periods of geopolitical tension. In this video, Clarvex News will break down what the UK's dire warning actually means, why fears are increasing now, how Russia's actions are being interpreted, the human rights implications of rising military tension, and why calm, informed analysis matters more than panic. This is not about spreading fear. This is about understanding risk, responsibility, and reality. British defense and security officials recently spoke about the changing nature of modern warfare, warning that the UK must remain prepared for a wide range of threats, including cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and indirect military pressure. Importantly, these warnings were not limited to Russia alone, but Russia remains a central concern due to its ongoing war in Ukraine, its military modernization, its confrontational stance toward NATO. UK officials emphasized that modern conflict does not always begin with missiles or tanks. Instead, it can start with cyber disruption of infrastructure, attacks on communication systems, interference in democratic processes, economic pressure, and energy manipulation. When British leaders describe the situation as serious or dangerous, they are referring to this broader security environment, not an immediate battlefield scenario. Such warnings are standard in national security planning and are intended to prepare governments and institutions, not to alarm the public unnecessarily. Public concern has grown largely due to three overlapping factors. First, the war in Ukraine continues with no clear end in sight. Russia's military engagement there has already reshaped Europe's security landscape and increased NATO's vigilance. Second, Russia has repeatedly used strong rhetoric against Western countries, including the UK, accusing them of supporting Ukraine militarily and politically. These statements, while aggressive in tone, are often part of diplomatic pressure tactics rather than direct war signals. Third, global instability, from the Middle East to Asia, has made governments more cautious about escalation risks. When multiple crises overlap, even small incidents can feel more dangerous. Media headlines sometimes compress these complex issues into dramatic phrases like imminent war, but experts stress that intent, capability, and decision-making timelines must all align before real conflict becomes likely. At present, analysts agree that Russia faces significant military and economic constraints, making a direct confrontation with the UK highly unlikely in the near term. President Vladimir Putin's strategy has historically relied more on pressure and leverage than direct conflict with NATO nations. This includes military exercises near borders, strategic messaging through state media, diplomatic signaling, energy and economic influence. These actions are designed to shape perceptions, influence political decisions, and test responses, not necessarily to trigger war. Direct military conflict with the UK would almost certainly involve NATO, creating consequences Russia has long sought to avoid. Security experts consistently note that deterrence still works. NATO's collective defense framework remains a powerful factor in preventing escalation. Understanding this distinction is essential. Aggressive language does not automatically equal aggressive intent. The United Kingdom is part of NATO, a defensive alliance built on international law and collective security. Under Article 5, an attack on one member is considered an attack on all, a principle designed to prevent war, not provoke it. International law, including the United Nations Charter, strictly limits the legal grounds for military aggression. Any violation carries serious diplomatic, economic, and humanitarian consequences. This legal framework is why most modern conflicts remain contained rather than expanded, even during severe tensions. Diplomacy, sanctions, and dialogue continue to be the primary tools used by governments, including Britain, to manage relations with Russia. Rising military tensions are not just a security issue, they are a human rights issue. History shows that war leads to civilian displacement, loss of life, economic hardship, restrictions on freedoms. The UK, along with international organizations, has repeatedly stressed the importance of protecting civilians, upholding humanitarian law, and avoiding escalation that would harm innocent people. Human rights groups continue to monitor the impact of conflict in Ukraine, warning that any expansion of violence would deepen suffering across the region. This is why measured responses, accountability, and diplomacy remain critical. Fear-driven narratives can unintentionally normalize violence. Responsible journalism does the opposite. It highlights consequences and promotes informed discussion. Public panic benefits no one. Exaggerated claims can damage social cohesion, spread misinformation, increase fear among vulnerable communities. Governments issue warnings to prepare institutions, not to suggest that war is inevitable. Experts urge the public to rely on official statements, verified reporting, context-based analysis. The reality is that global security is complex, but predictable escalation is rare. So, what does Britain's dire warning really mean? It means awareness, not alarm. Preparation, not panic. Responsibility, not inevitability. There is no confirmed evidence that Russia is planning an immediate war with the UK. What exists is a tense international environment where strong language, strategic warnings, and defensive planning are part of maintaining stability. Understanding this helps protect not just national security, but also human rights, democratic values, and public trust. At Clarvex News, our commitment is simple: to explain global events clearly, responsibly, and without unnecessary fear. Stay informed, stay calm, and always seek context.